Hello and welcome everybody again. We are here on a Thursday once again, and today we're going to be getting on with the digital version of the week. And we're still in the mutant animal series, and this week we had a request from We Can Do It. I think he's changed his name on Instagram now, but that was what's his name when I originally knew him. Of a crocodile, a penguin, and a lion. So I've done that already. I've gone and coloured that in, and I've gone and finished that one up on the paper version, guys. If you want to go and check that out, either wait to the end of the video and click those links and check out how far I get on this one, because I don't think I'll be completing this one. This will be in 2 parts, so don't forget, if you do want to see the second part to this digital version of the picture of the week, then don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell. My name is Blut084, BLUT084, art and games, here every day on YouTube, occasionally on Mixer, but every day and night over on Instagram. And as you can see in the top corner, we've got my TV screen again, as every time I digitize work, I let you guys see the playlist, or let you see the people that I've been listening to over the week, so you get to see what I've been seeing and get to check out the digital artwork. So guys, enjoy what I'm doing, listen to the playlist in the background, watch that if you wish. We're going to be listening to Killer Croc and the origins and lots of other things about Killer Croc today from Comic Storian. They are absolutely amazing. They'll give themselves an interruption. No, that's the wrong word. They'll give themselves a they'll let themselves be known. Okay, so yeah, they'll intro themselves. There we go. In a second, and yeah, if you want to go and check them out, then ask for a link down below if I haven't put one already. So yeah, guys, this is the digital work that this is the piece of artwork that I've been doing all week, and it's finished on paper. Go and check that one out. Otherwise, enjoy the digital version, because I've already outlined it, as you can see. Let's get rid of that. Okay, actually, there we go. So I've already outlined it on the basic side, because that's generally what I do. I'll turn that right down. There we go. What I do is, guys, I take the picture I've already done. I take a picture of it on my tablet, and then I transfer that picture to the PC, and then that's what I work off the digital version. Because, blimey, I do not want to draw it all again. Because it took me a while to actually get the line face to sort of fit in with the penguin and the crocodile underneath. Like I said, I've already done the outline. I'm going to be doing some scales now. Maybe on a different layer. I might call it a different layer, actually. Don't really think it needs another layer, but maybe we'll put it on another layer. These are all the layers I've done already. This is the animal. I don't really know what to call it, so if you are watching, buddy, let me know what you would like to call it, and if you would like a copy of this guy, bud, then you can request it, and I'll just send it out to you. Either I'll send the digital version via email, or I'll send the paper version, or a copy of the paper version, out to you in the post. But yeah, if you guys have seen any of my artwork and you would like the picture of it for yourself to put on your wall, on your tablet, or on your phone, or just on your computer screen, let me know and I'll send you out a copy so you guys can enjoy it as much as I do. But like I said, we've already done the... what is that? Oh, there we go. There's the paper version, guys. As you can see, it's not hugely brilliant, but what I can do a lot more. I can in the digital versions than I can on the paper, because all I got is limited stock of like prints, felt tips, Copic markers, and just like normal pencils, and that's what I've used here on this piece. I've done a bit of Copic marker, a bit of Copic marker on the main line and things like that, and coloured this in, just sort of use felt tips. I'm not a great fan of felt tips, but the Copic markers I have are either too dark or they're just running out. Like, I started to run out just to do the yellow on here, so that's why I've added a bit of orange and other different colours. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed that one. That was that. This is this. Enjoy the playlist in the background, and I'll get started.
Who is Killer Croc? Welcome to Origins, where we go over the origins of your favorite superheroes and villains. Today we're looking at Killer Croc and his origin, and it's rather simple. He was born that way. End of video. Have a good evening is what I would say if I hadn't found a story focused on his childhood. Let's see how the life of a human crocodile went. The SWAT team of cops began trudging through the sewer systems. They have a mission. They need to hide evidence that they are dirty cops. And as they splash through the sewers, two eyes look at them from further beneath them. 26 years ago, Waylon was being thrown into a tub. His skin had just started to become scaly, his eyes like an animal, his fingers and teeth turning more reptilian. And he had an Auntie Flowers telling him to scrub off those scales. Scrub until they come off and he's normal. Back in the present day, the SWAT team keeps pressing forward until Croc opens up a water gate, drowning a good number of the SWAT team in the garbage of Gotham. Using that to his advantage, he jumped in at them, and terrified, they saw their demon. 17 years ago, Croc was working as a sideshow act in a carnival. He would wrestle crocodiles for money. The owner came over and gave Waylon his cut, $40. Waylon asked what happened to the $100 that they agreed on, and the owner told him it doesn't matter what they agreed on. Waylon isn't getting any other job, so take what he can get and enjoy it. So he bit the man's hand off. Back in the present day, the two lead officers pulled themselves up into a sewage line, shocked that this monster killed them all. And 3 years ago, Waylon turned to a life of crime, only to meet the Batman. As he was beat down and a muzzle put on him, Robin decided to taunt him. You know, you aren't very good at this. Most other criminals would have a wingman or followers to help carry the loot, but you went at it alone. It's probably because you're lacking in the charisma department or in the smarts department. Have you considered giving up this brain thing and sticking to being muscle? Back in our current day, the two officers see some people in the sewage tunnel with them. The woman gets up and asks for help, and the little girl walks over and hits her in the leg with a shovel, breaking her leg. Then they turn the lights out and they start a little song. 3 little monkeys swinging in a tree, teasing a crocodile. You can't catch me. Along comes a crocodile, silent as can be, and snapped one of the monkeys out of the tree. They make their way to a broken bridge, and the man decides that he'll jump over it and get help, leaving his partner there. And once he gets over, the door opens, and in front of him is a dead body, Houlihan. 2 weeks ago, this man confronted Houlihan, demanding the information on the dirty cops that he had. He offered Houlihan money to rat on them, but Houlihan turned it down. He was going to take this information on the dirty cops and turn them into the rest of the police force. So, they shot him in the head, and they threw him in the bay. In the current day, the man looks at the body and he tells his partner, Houlihan delivered right to us. We got what we came for at least. But it was yesterday that they got a message in writing that if they didn't bring money to a certain spot, news of their kill would hit the news. And that's why they came into the sewers, to deliver money. In the current day, the man turns around and he sees his partner, and Killer Croc standing over her. He ate her, and then he began to chase the man. The man opened fire, hoping to stop Killer Croc, but the bullets bounced off, and he chased him further, until he didn't look where he was going, and the man fell into a trap, speared through his leg, arm, and gut. He looked up at Killer Croc as he stood over him. It was you that sent the note, wasn't it? It was you that got us down here. Why? Is this over a turf war? And Croc closed the man's eyes, telling him, shh. Then he killed the man. 26 years ago, when Croc was sitting outside of his house with scales and his changing form, Houlihan walked over and he gave him an ice cream cone, asking what was wrong. Waylon told him that he couldn't get the scales off. It hurts. He's just a freak. And Houlihan told him, you know, Waylon, I think you're going to be big one day. Maybe president or king or something. Then he gave Waylon an ice cream cone, and they sat there and had ice cream together. Now with justice served, Croc looked over his followers in his underground empire as they sent the body of Houlihan down the sewers. Because no one messes with Croc's people. And the people chanted, King Croc, King Croc, King Croc. Now, I looked for a long time to find a Killer Croc story because the fact is, Killer Croc has a simple origin. He was born this way. So it's kind of difficult to find an origin story or anything in his past. And I thought this was an interesting way to look at his history. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll link the issue down below because it's kind of a weird annual kind of a thing. And I'll see you guys next time. Hope you guys enjoyed this and hope you're going to go see the new Suicide Squad movie. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Comic Story.
Hopefully there's some more Killer Croc coming up. If there isn't, I'll find something. It should be linking directly to it, like he was saying. We'll check out in a second. I'm going to let this play over and see what happens. If it doesn't, I'll find something else, guys. But I'm just doing scales, so it's going to take me absolutely... No, it's not going to... It's not going to... So let's go back to where we were. There we go. Absolutely loads, guys. Go check
Crumpets
them out.
are a godsend. My favourite thing about a crumpet is when you put...
Welcome to the Complete Story Series, where I take trade paperbacks and single issues and I break them down into digestible bites to help you understand. Then I read them dramatically back to you, kind of creating a motion comic. Today is the end. We've been doing Injustice and Injustice 2 now for 4 or 5 years, and Injustice 2 is finally coming to its conclusion. it's over. And as far as we know, there is no more other than an annual dropping very soon in like November time frame. I don't know what else to tell you. This is a universe in which Batman and Superman had a giant disagreement because Superman ended up killing the Joker because the Joker tricked Superman into killing his own wife. So now, right now, he's in prison. Batman found out that he has a daughter. Alfred has been raised from the dead. Booster Gold just died. And the Legion of Superheroes just took Superboy and Wonder Girl off to another planet, along with Hal Jordan redeeming himself as a Green Lantern. That's everything that's gone on up to this point. So, it's the end, guys. Enjoy.
The end of Injustice.
In our last video, we watched as Hal and the Green Lanterns made their stand against Atrocitus, and a possessed Saeed as the Red Lanterns descended upon Oa. Though the Lanterns were successful across the galaxy, Booster Gold and Blue Beetle took the fight directly to Starro. The Scarab told Jaime that the only way to defeat Starro was to sever their bond, and Jaime knew that it would mean his death in doing so. But it was Booster Gold who sacrificed himself, giving the powerless Jaime his air supply, allowing for him to escape with Skeets. While most of the heroes off-world recoup from their latest battles, down on Earth there's another struggle about to unfold. In the prison facility on Stryker's Island, Athanasia Al Ghul sits in her cell as a guard tells her that she has a visitor today. Alfred walks up holding a tray of food, stating, "Hello, Miss Al Ghul." "Aye." But before Alfred can even finish his sentence, his hand gives out and he drops the food all over the ground. He looks at his hand and she tells him that he didn't come back from the Lazarus pit, right, did he? Alfred tells her no, he hasn't been himself. He isn't capable now. She asks, why is he here? And Alfred smiles, stating that he was here to offer her a nice meal. But he always wanted to just talk and get to know her better. Things like where she grew up and how old is she. She asks, why would he want to talk to her? And Alfred says that he's sorry. Did she have something more pressing on her schedule for the day? The two stare at each other, and she tells him that if they take into account the time that she was dead, she's 16. But why would he care? Alfred smiles, stating that it's because she is Bruce's child, which means they are family. And she yells that Bruce is not her father. He is the antithesis of everything that she stands for and everything that she was raised to believe. Alfred says that he can see how she would believe that, but for what it's worth, he's sorry for the way that she was raised. Her father is a very complicated man. He's far from perfect. But he is not the demon that she believes him to be. Perhaps it is time that Bruce demonstrated just that. Later at Wayne Manor, Bruce and Selena sit down to eat noodles when Alfred walks into the room stating that he's sorry to disturb them, especially when he looks so at ease. Bruce looks up and Alfred goes on stating that he visited the prison today, and Bruce says that he knows. Alfred turns and looks over at the screen stating, "Ah yes, of course, your Brother Eye." Just as Alfred says that, up in space, the Brother Eye satellite, a Brainiac drone is connecting to it, listening in on their conversation. Alfred goes on stating that there's a fine line between creating the most advanced surveillance system and becoming the world's most sophisticated peeping Tom. However, that conversation is for another day. Today he would like to ask a favor, and that is for him to talk to Ra's al Ghul. Bruce looks at Alfred and tells him that Ra's killed thousands, and Alfred says that if all they do is fight, then he will kill again. Millions more. And Bruce says that he must face justice, and Alfred shouts, "Just stop it! I don't feel..." He then collapses, and once Bruce picks him back up, he says that he needs to sit down. His daughter is 16 and has turned into a killer. This is not the legacy the Wayne name deserves. Show her there is a better way. If not for her, then do it for him. Thomas was a doctor. He looked to heal before he looked to punish. Bruce tells him that he needs to reach out to the world leaders and needs an emissary. Someone who can make contact and bridge the gap. A short while later, elsewhere, Harley Quinn lands her jet in the middle of the jungle, stepping off holding a potted olive tree, yelling hello. Seconds later, vines reach out, picking her up by the legs, holding her in the air. Poison Ivy with her gorilla guards asks, "What is that?" And Harley looks at the plant stating, "It's a complicated thought process. I wanted to offer you an olive branch, but then I realized that it would be like handing you a severed limb. Not exactly the right kind of peace offering. So this potted olive tree is an attempted reconciliation." And then a gorilla covers her head with a bag. A short while later, the bag is removed, and as Harley is looking at Ra's al Ghul, she says, "Okay, not what I was expecting. Wait, Orca? Are you pregnant? You're glowing!" Orca blushes, stating that she didn't mean to glow, and Ra's looks at her and then back at Harley, asking, "Why are you here?" She tells him that she's here with a potted plant and a message. Batman would like to speak. He has several world leaders on his side. No tricks, just conversation. Solivar asks, why would they trust Batman? And Harley shrugs, stating, "Come on! I've been on the wrong side of superheroes many times. One thing they do is not lie. It's a bit boring, really." Ra's asks, what does he want from this? And Harley tells him something rare for him. He wants to listen. He wants to demonstrate to his daughter that there's a better way forward. He wants to save the world together. Meanwhile, over in Africa, the Brainiac drone shoots down, and as it begins to scan, it says that this world has evolved in the same way as many others. So basic. The drone holds out his arm, firing a laser at a passing gorilla, stating that they expected more. So much primate life. Just then, Grodd's face appears out of the bushes, and the gorilla asks, "Who are you calling a primate? This is Grodd's jungle. Metal men are not welcome. Outcasts of Gorilla City, attack!" Over in Atlantis, the world's leaders begin to arrive, and as Arthur welcomes everyone, Jefferson tells Mera that he would like to thank Atlantis for hosting this. This is the only neutral ground that has worked for all of the nations and other parties. Mera asks why would they have been invited otherwise? Would they have planned this without including the representatives of 70% of the planet? A voice calls out, of course they would have. And everyone looks over at Ivy, who goes on stating that the leaders of this world have never cared for the planet. They would like to see it burned for their own greed. On the other side, Green Arrow says, "Right! Positive start! So let's just take a seat." As everyone gathers around the table, Jefferson says that the United States would like to make a request before they begin. They have learned that Jackson Hyde has returned to the sea. He must stand trial for the attack on our government. We ask that you turn him over, Atlantis. Mera, without any hesitation, tells him no. The surface world poisons our water. Millions of kilometers of ocean are becoming uninhabitable as your destruction continues. And Aquaman says that Jackson's actions were extreme and wrong, but Ra's radicalized Aqualad, and Atlantis will deal with him. Your request is denied. Jefferson asks, so there'll be no punishment then? For any crime? And Batman says, Jackson must be extradited to stand trial, as well as Ra's for the genocide that he committed. Ra's then begins to chime in. What, you have asked me here to be arrested? What a waste of time. As Ra's begins to leave, Aquaman reaches out asking him to please put down his ego and stand down. They do not want war with Atlantis. The sea will swallow them. Solovar leans into Aquaman asking, "Who are you to speak for the sea, Pretender? The last king to sit at the Atlantean throne was no bastard human." Jefferson then begins to charge up his powers, and Harley asks him, "Water and electricity? Really?" Everyone begins arming themselves ready to fight, with Harley asking, "Red?" And Ivy tells her yes. With a snap of her finger, the sea leaves reach out, grabbing everyone, placing them in their seats. And Harley says, "Okay, everyone needs to calm the hell down. How are you all so bad at diplomacy? Give it 1 month. You all have giant brains. Even the gorillas is used to accommodate. Just give yourselves 1 month of ceasefire. You won't be able to save the world in an hour-long meeting when everyone is all pissed off. Think of it like a global marriage counseling. Everyone here does have genuine grievances. So how about you put everything on the table? Have you asked Aqualad what he thinks? If he's willing to face judgment for his crimes, maybe we all can. Batman, Ra's, Aqualad, all of them should face judgment." Ra's looks at Harley stating, "You should as well." And Harley tells him, "I ain't denying that. But first, how about we talk for a month and stop squabbling?" Soon the leaves begin to pull back, and Harley kneels down in front of Solovar stating, "See? It's just like marriage counseling. I just made the Earth the children." Solovar says that he has no idea what she's talking about, and Harley asks, "Don't you have marriage counseling?" Solovar tells her that he's a gorilla, and Harley shrugs stating, "Decent argument." Back in the jungle, Grodd and his gorilla fight the Brainiac drones. But just before Grodd can finish the attack, the drone grabs him by the neck and flies off into the sky. The drone tells him, "Not so primitive. You can be useful, but something is holding you back." A wire shoots out of the drone's hand and into Grodd's forehead, and then Brainiac's voice asks, "Can you hear me with that special little mind of yours?" Grodd tells him yes, he can hear, and Brainiac tells him, "Good. My name is Brainiac, and we will be helping each other from now on." Later that night, inside the Gorilla City sewage system, the Suicide Squad makes their way into the tunnels looking for something. Man-Bat says, "Wow, these sewers smell worse than the human sewers." And Boomerang tells him that if he honestly believes that he's not spending enough time in human sewers. Katana asks Deadshot how far in, and Deadshot asks her, "How should I know?" And the Katana asks, "Have you not been here before?" And Deadshot tells her, "Why would I have ever visited the sewers?" Man-Bat stops everyone, stating, "There, up ahead." And Boomerang then asks, "How do you know? Don't you have terrible eyesight?" Man-Bat tells him that he has echolocation. It's a frequency inaudible to human ears. And Boomerang then asks, "So you're like constantly silently screaming?" And Man-Bat tells him yes. And Katana tells him that she can relate. Deadshot then shouts, "Hey you!" And a second later, Croc pulls himself out of the waters roaring. Deadshot quickly stops him. "Whoa, whoa, whoa! We're just here to talk." And Croc says, "Then why did you yell?" And Deadshot says, "Well, I figured you didn't have any ears." And Croc then asks him, "Why are you here?" And Deadshot tells him, "We've all been thinking about you and Orca." Croc then shouts, "Do not think of me and Orca!" And Man-Bat yells, "Wow! Wow! In a nice way!" Deadshot tells him, "Look, I felt bad about giving you a hard time about Orca. Truth is, None of us really have a lot of happiness in our future. But somehow you found a way to a new life. Katana says, we spoke to Solivar. From an alpha gorilla, he's actually a bit of a softie. And being a king, he can marry you. Croc pauses. Why would I want to marry Solivar? And Deadshot tells him, no, he can marry you and Orca. Boomerang says, just so there's no confusion, Solivar can marry you and Orca together. Solivar would not be joining in your relationship at all. Croc pauses and then says, oh. But while that happens, in another part of the jungle, Grodd leads his outcast towards Gorilla City in the dead of the night, and then stops everyone. One of the guards asks, what is it? And Grodd says that there are 2 sentries on the hill up ahead. He can feel their minds. The guard says that if they raise the alarm, Solivar will know that they're coming. He'll prepare his defenses but Grodd stops him, taking the guard's spear, telling him that he won't raise an alarm. A few moments later, up on the hill, the 2 sentries spot Grodd, and as the smaller of the 2 points, the older one tells him to go and warn the others. The smaller one tries to run, but he can't move. A second later, the spear is thrown into the older gorilla's chest, and Grodd walks up to the smaller one, telling him Tolivar was old, set in his ways, would never recognize my rule. But you, Ordover, you are young, and remember I can read your mind. Do you accept the new alpha? Do you submit to Grodd? Ordover struggles to move and tells him, of course, my king. Meanwhile, over by the lakes, Orca asks Croc why they're here. Are they gonna go hunting? And Croc tells her, no, there's something I wish to ask you. Orca says that he will be the father of her child. He ate a sentient gorilla for her. He can ask her anything. The 2 begin to walk, and Croc looks up at the window. And he sees the entire Suicide Squad staring at him, all giving him a thumbs up. Kinda ruins the mood. So he takes Orca by the hand, telling her not here, and the 2 walk into the lake. As they submerge, a few moments later, Croc kneels on one knee, and the 2 burst out of the water, holding each other and smiling. Deadshot watches, stating, wow, this is the single most beautiful nature documentary I've ever seen. And Boomerang laughs, telling him, I can practically hear the old British guy narrating the whole thing in a calm, dulcet tone. Manbot begins to cry, stating that he has stopped, silently screaming. Katana tells him that they all have. The next day, while Orca gets ready for her ceremony, Ivy watches and says that she did not see this coming. Orca tells her, yeah, having bombs placed in their head, being forced to do the bidding of a genocidal maniac, and having been transformed into an actual killer whale, she'd say that marriage really didn't seem like it was next in the cards. A short while later, flowers are thrown as Orca says I do, and Croc and Orca leave. And Deadshot whispers, hey, you owe me. Croc tells him that he knows, and Deadshot tells him, no, not for the marriage thing, for the ceremony. Solivar wanted to do it the traditional gorilla way. I saved you from having to learn the correct ooks. Croc laughs, telling him, you're not such a bad guy. And Deadshot tells him, actually, I'm the worst. One half-decent act doesn't change that. Now off you go, lovebirds. As the 2 begin to leave the compound, Orca and Croc see Roz standing there, and he looks at them. And he holds up the tablet with the brain bomb switches. Croc growls, asking what is this, and Roz tells him that it's not what it looks like. I didn't mean to concern you with this. Orca shouts, you didn't mean to concern us with the device that will blow up our heads? And Roz tells them no. I don't know what the future holds, but the sliver of hope that I have is that we can find a better way of working alongside the detective to help better the world. But humanity's greed has always ruined hope in the past. My grandchildren are gone. My daughter has fled. I swore I'd make a better world for them, and I have failed. It would be hypocritical and soulless of me to ignore the new life that you are bringing into this world. That is why, when the war comes, I will give you the choice if you want to fight. You have a child, a new species. Your existence will not be threatened by me. Roz taps the pictures of Orca and Croc, and a second later the words deactivated appear on the screen. And Orca asks him, just like that? You enslaved me, enslaved the man that I love? I've lived in constant fear of the threat that you pose to me and the child within me? You think that I'm gonna be grateful for your benevolence? We're apex predators. You think that our happy ending is walking away from the prey that turned us into this? As Orca and Croc step forward, Roz holds out his arm stating, no, stay back, no! Croc roars, and a second later, Roz's arm holding the tablet falls to the ground. Roz begins to scream, but Orca places her finger on his lips, telling him, shh. And as Croc wipes the blood from his mouth, he says, you've been resurrected so many times. Your flesh tastes rotten, but I will put up with a bit of decay to eat your miserable. And a voice calls out, there is no need for that. Grodd and his outcast surface from the water, and as Grodd picks up the tablet, he says, I will finish up here. Orca turns, getting ready to fight, but Grodd tells her, leave, now. And Croc says, what will happen to him? And Grodd tells him, it doesn't matter, you're not a part of this anymore. There's nothing left here for your family. Try and fight me and you will be dead within seconds. A few moments pass of awkward silence, and Grodd says, you haven't left. And Croc asks him, what about the rest of the squad? Grodd tells him, they will die. And Croc tells Orca, I'm sorry, but I ain't gonna let that happen. Croc begins to open up his mouth, and Orca shouts for him to wait. And then Orca says, the Suicide Squad could be useful to you, Grodd. You have a means of controlling them now. Don't waste that resource. Grodd says, how pragmatic. You're right, of course. Your friends will be mine, and they will live. There is no better outcome. Croc growls, stating, suppose not. Orca holds up Roz by the face, telling him, this is it. He's bleeding. His sick dream is dying all around him. And our child will grow up in a world without him. Orca gives Roz to Grodd and then takes Croc by the hand, stating, this is the
Okay, right, that's
in the middle of it is a rumble that shakes the White House, knocking out its
Scales done.
staff, leaving them scattered across the hall. As Ollie checks on one of the bodies, Dinah asks if she... And Ollie tells her no, they're still alive, all of them. Then it occurs to Dinah and she yells, we have to get to the president! Ollie runs up to the Oval Office, and as he swings open the doors, he's hit in the chest with something. Dinah tries to see what it is, but she too is hit and falls to the ground. A voice from behind the desk says, if you hurt them, there's gonna be trouble. And another voice tells the person that the chair they sit in does not belong to them. As the chair spins around, a little girl starts giving her evil laughter, and the little boy Archer says, Mwahaha? The other girl says that she's pretty sure the shape-shifting usurper would not say Mwahaha. And the girl sitting in the chair says, well, this shape-shifting usurper does say Mwahaha. And since you can't stroke a cat, this pillow will have to do. His name is Mittens. Mittens the pillow. And just then, Jefferson opens up the door, telling the kids, all right, I'm gonna need the country back now. And Anissa, what's that rumble? Anissa tells her father that it was only a little one. But Jefferson says that he specifically said no powers inside. If she's gonna knock down the White House, that will come out of her allowance. Jefferson looks back and asks Ollie and Dinah if they're okay, and the two lean back up, asking, are we done being shapeshifters yet? Harley then leans over the couch, asking if she's still Speaker of the House. And Jefferson asks, would you like to stay as one? And Harley says, ew, no. A few moments later, one of Jefferson's aides walks up and whispers that he's needed in the situation room.
Okay,
and as
guys,
he
I'm
walks
gonna go
in, he
in now
asks
with a bit
Chairman
of
Lane
colour.
what he's looking at. Lane points to the screen, stating that that is the image they took moments ago. Jefferson asks, are they worried about the people walking through the jungle? And Lane tells him no, these tracks are not human, they are apes. The image then changes to one of a gorilla sentry that has been killed. And Lane says that what they are looking at is possibly the beginning of a coup in Gorilla City. Over in Gorilla City, Solivar and his son sleep, and as his son sleeps, he begins to hear a voice in his head calling out to him. The son follows the voice, and as he goes outside, Grodd says, yes, come to me, and then we shall wake your father. Back in the Situation Room, Lane goes over the satellite images, stating that they presume, based on the Atlantis meeting, Roz might be working with Solivar out of Gorilla City. They understand that there is a ceasefire and a diplomatic solution being sought, but this is their chance. They could remove two threats that not only affect America, but the entire world. Jefferson closes his eyes and thinks for a moment, but tells Lane, no, we will not, just monitor the situation. A few moments later, as Jefferson returns to the office, Dinah asks what was that about, and Jefferson tells her it's a false alarm. Ollie says they called him into the Situation Room for a false alarm, and Harley says that she may be the imaginary member of this government, but that sounds pretty unlikely. Jefferson tells them all not to worry about it, we're the kids. And Dinah watches the kids go through the window, stating that they're out on the lawn saving the world. And as it turned out, Mittens the Pillow was the true evil all along. Ollie looks out, smiling, stating, look at them. Those kids could grow up and save the world someday. And Jefferson sternly tells him, no, I don't want that. They shouldn't have to be heroes. They're children. Our job is to protect them, to give them opportunities. They shouldn't have to bear our burdens or deal with our mistakes. We do the hard, dirty work, so the children don't have to. We act like adults, so the kids don't have to save it. Meanwhile, over at Wayne Manor, Alfred makes a phone call, and on the receiving end, the man asks Al. Alfred tells the man, you know, you're the only people who call me that. And the man says that it's been too long. And Alfred says he knows and he's sorry. He died. The man tells him, right, that'll do it. Alfred tells him, I'm not calling for a chat, I'm afraid. I'm going away and I need you to look after something. The man asks what, and Alfred tells him, Bruce, I need you to look after him, please. On the other end, Jonathan Kent tells him, of course. We'll look over your boy. Alfred smiles, telling him, thank you. You've all been such wonderful friends. Goodbye. But over in Gorilla City, the gorilla calls out to sound the alarm. Grodd has. But before he can finish, he's hit with a spear and he falls off his post. While Grodd's gorillas charge the city, Grodd tells Roz not to bleed out on him. He wants him to see this. That the gorillas are not a means to his end. They are not his pets. They are his betters. As Grodd lands, vines reach out, grabbing Roz from him. And Deadshot yells, hey! You have to the count of 3 to turn your monkey butt around. 1, 2, and as Deadshot lifts his arm and aims, Grodd telepathically tells him not to shoot. Boomerang waits for a second and then asks, did you forget what number comes next? And Deadshot tells him, no, I can't shoot. Man-Bat jumps out of the shadows, but before he can attack, Grodd taps the image of him with the Brain Bomb tablet, and Boomerang says, oh no. A second later, Man-Bat's head explodes and his body falls back to the ground. Grodd shouts to the Suicide Squad that they belong to him now, and Ivy says that they need to leave, but Roz tells her they can't. They only have one chance, come quickly. Solivar then jumps down before Grodd, stating that he should not have returned. There will be no mercy this time, him and his followers. And Grodd sneers back, stating that mercy was his mistake. Further proof that he is not fit to lead Gorilla City. I am sorry your son had to see you so weak. Grodd releases a telepathic signal, and as Solivar's son walks up, he says that his mind is back. Grodd tells him it is, and his mind is in his son's. Solivar then asks, what now? And Grodd says he will die. Solivar then asks, what about his son? And Grodd tells him that he will live, as long as he accepts his fate. Read my mind. Solivar links to Grodd, and he says that he can hear Grodd stating that he promises his son will live. And with that, Solivar feels something, someone else's mind, and he asks, Who have you been talking to? What have you done, Grodd? Grodd tells Deadshot to fire, and a second later there's a bang, and Solivar's shot in the head. Meanwhile, over at Wayne Manor, Brother Eye tells Bruce that there is an incoming transmission from Ra's al Ghul. Bruce says put him on the screen, and suddenly Ra's appears yelling, Detective! He's here! Grodd is! But before he can finish, Grodd telepathically tells him to come back. As Ra's struggles, he says Grodd is in his head. Bruce calls out for Ra's, but as Ra's walks away, he tells Bruce, Save the world for my grandchildren. As Grodd sits on his throne, he tells Ra's, This is it. Your time is over. Kneel before Grodd. Ra's lowers himself and Grodd holds out his arm, telling him, Place your head into my hand. Ra's tries to fight back, but his body starts to move on its own, placing his head into the palm of Grodd. Without saying a word, Grodd squeezes, and there's a loud scrunch as blood sprays all over him. Back at Wayne Manor, Bruce runs through the halls, calling out to Alfred. And when he finally finds him, he sees Alfred with his luggage standing at the door. Alfred tells him, Don't worry, I wasn't going to leave without saying goodbye. Bruce asks, Where are you going? And Alfred tells him, I can't say. You can probably find me, but I'm asking you, please don't. Bruce asks him, Why? And Alfred says, Because he can't help him. He isn't right. Not since the Lazarus pit. There are parts still missing. Every day it's a struggle. These words are so much effort. He died, and he never really came back. Bruce tells him, You can't. It's possible Roz may have been killed. Peace talks have started. I need you here. And Alfred tells him, I know, but I'm not all here. I can't be in the house and see how much I'm needed every day. I cannot be a burden for you. Alfred grabs his bags and he begins to walk out, and Bruce follows, telling him, This is ridiculous. You're not a burden. Alfred turns back, telling him, I refuse to be looked after. My job was to look after you because someone had to. It was my duty and my honor. Despite your obvious flaws, you are one of the greatest men who has ever lived. What you and your friends did for the planet. Alfred hugs Bruce, telling him, By looking after you, I got to look after the world as well. You are my savior and my son. As Alfred lets go, Bruce tells him, Wait. And Alfred tells him, I loved you. And he gets into the taxi. Alfred says, This is goodbye, Bruce. And all Bruce can hear is the engine of the taxi as it takes off and it leaves. And there you have it. We're done with Injustice 2. It's been a long and crazy ride, hasn't it? Like, seriously, very long, very crazy. Lots of stuff has happened. Now, like I said at the beginning, there is an annual coming out. I'm hoping it's going to tie up some loose ends. Off the top of my head, what's going on with the Legion of Superheroes and what's going on with Batman's daughter. Those are the two that I want to know what's going to happen. But, I don't know. Maybe they're going to save that for Injustice 3. Maybe there's going to be another tie-in. They haven't announced anything yet, but come on. We all know what's going to happen. Anyway, let me know what you think about Injustice 2 down below. And don't forget, you can also find me over on Twitch, twitch.tv/EligibleMonster, where we do things like play video games, do comic book podcasts, and basically just kill time over there with you guys. I'll see you next time right here.
Okay guys, I'm nearly done with the basic colour of the crocodile. I've done all the scales finally. God's sake, that took me ages. Now I'm just going to finish up some of the colours. We'll watch something else from Comic Story in the moment. I'm just going to see what's going to come up next. Now we've got Superman and that. So we'll see what else we can find. We were listening to Devil Dinosaur, so I think I might go back and check that out. But I want to know a little bit more about forgotten Batman villains. Orca for one, because I don't really know much about her. So let's find out a little bit more.
Reporting from Arkham Asylum, this is Gotham Rogues. In this video we take a look at forgotten Batman villain, Orca. Before we get into the video, I want to make a quick announcement about my creepypasta channel, Sinister Shade Man. I've decided to turn it into a horror channel in general, where I talk about all things horror, including movies,
Well, this
games,
here isn't
and
Comic
comics.
Story, so
I just
it's
uploaded a new video there, the top 10 greatest
Mr.
horror
Rogues.
movies. So if you're a horror fan like me, then you should give it a watch. A link is in the description. I'm also thinking about changing the channel's name to Rogues Nightmare Gallery. Anyway, enough about that. Let's talk about obscure Bat Rogues. Throughout his near 80-year-old existence, Batman has faced countless enemies. Some of these have gone on to stand among the most infamous fictional villains in pop culture history, while others have completely vanished into obscurity. In this segment of Forgotten Bat Rogues, we spotlight Orca. Orca made her first appearance in Batman 579, published in 2000, the first part of a three-parter simply titled Orca. The story was written by Larry Hama and penciled by Scott McDaniel. In it we meet Orca, a bizarre new criminal in Gotham who's a human killer whale hybrid. Orca attacks the yacht of wealthy heiress Camille Baden Smith, stealing her valuable gemstone known as the Flame of Persia. It soon becomes apparent though that Camille is corrupt and that Orca may not be as sinister as it seems. The villain's true identity is actually Grace Balin, a marine biologist who experimented with Orca genes, creating a formula that transformed her into the hybrid beast. The aquarium Grace works at is owned by Camille, who plans to demolish it, alongside everything else in the neighborhood, making way for more commercial establishments. Orca's theft of the Flame of Persia is not only a means of getting revenge, but she also plans to fence it for a hefty sum. The cash is meant to fund shelters for all the poor people evicted by Camille. After this three-parter, Orca appeared in a cameo during Joker's Last Laugh event, and was then unceremoniously killed off in the pages of the 2006 Face-to-Face story arc. She was murdered on the orders of the Great White Shark in a plot to frame Harvey Dent. This story also revealed that Grace had gotten married to a regular guy, attempting to live a normal life alongside her supervillain shenanigans. Orca stayed dead for the rest of that continuity and was never brought back during the New 52 either. She did however return in DC Rebirth, where Orca appeared in a couple of issues of Nightwing earlier this year, 2017 that is. As for other media, she's appeared in nothing essentially, except for a few tiny Lego appearances, including in the Lego Batman movie. I can definitely understand why Orca has never become a mainstay in the Batman's Rogues Gallery. The nature of the character is just kinda silly. Just look at that design. It's a bit difficult to take a big whale woman with giant hooters seriously. Her motivations are also a bit weak, but still there's enough meat here to craft an interesting story about her. I think you should rewrite her past and motivations, but still stay true to the original sympathetic take on her. That's one thing I like about Orca. She's not really a villain, more of a misunderstood anti-hero. Face-to-Face also introduced something interesting when establishing that Grace wants to live a normal suburban life. There was so much potential for both tragic and comedic stories with that idea, but then they killed her off in the same issue. What a missed opportunity. I would have loved a one-shot or something detailing Orca's day-to-day life, juggling supervillain antics with her family life. I would also have liked a team-up between her and Killer Croc. Somehow they just fit, both being sympathetic characters and aquatic animal-human hybrids. You could also have explored their differences, with one being born a monster, while the other turned herself into one. But all we got was Croc chewing on her corpse in Face-to-Face. Real nice, Waylon. Well, she is back now though, so who knows what DC will do with her. Maybe she'll get a larger presence in the Rogues Gallery, maybe she'll become a Nightwing rogue, or maybe she'll never appear ever again. So there you have it. That's the story of forgotten Batman villain, Orca. A kinda goofy, but still decent character with some potential. Remember, Arkham Asylum awaits you in the next video.
Okay, that was short but sweet. Let's go back. What shall we pick? future origins. Lots of origins here. Evil Beast Boy. Let's check that one out.
What the hell is going on?
You're getting closed down.
Oh, welcome to the Complete Story Series, where I take trade paperbacks and single issues and I break them down into digestible bites to help you understand. Then I read them dramatically back to you. Today we're going to be covering Teen Titans. You know, since there was a Titans trailer that came out recently, some people are looking for Titans. And this story is going to be the one in which Beast Boy has finally had enough of Robin. And that leads to him kind of turning against the Teen Titans. It's a part of the storyline that we've been covering. I'll put the link to the playlist down below, but I hope you enjoy Evil Beast Boy. After the fight against the future Tim Drake, the Teen Titans found themselves picking up the pieces of a broken Titans tower. But among the destroyed wreckage, Gar, Beast Boy, finds himself the one thing connecting him back to his family. An old, half-burned photo. He looks at the photo and he thinks to himself that there was once a time when he was going by the name Changeling. But if there's one thing that holds true to that name, it's that nothing ever lasts in life. Starfire begins to move some of the debris out of the way, stating that it's going to take some time and heart, but they can come back from this. Gar tells her that he knows that she's a sun worshiper and all, but there's really no bright side to them losing their home. Even if they rebuild, why even bother? Starfire points over to one of her Zorka plants that survived the attack and says that something like a plant can still remain alive, then there is life, and with life, there is hope. Wally tells her, yeah, things have fallen apart before. Like how Damien fired me, and then I came back, we always come back. Gar looks at the picture again and he tells everyone that he's sorry, but right now he's feeling like flying solo for a bit. Then he changes into a hawk and flies off. Meanwhile, over at the Golden Gate Bridge, a school bus full of people make their way to the school when one of the kids inside starts getting picked on. The young kid sits alone tinkering with his own devices when the school bully starts hitting him with spitballs across his glasses. As everyone starts to laugh at the kid, he pulls down his glasses and reveals lines of computer code running over his eyes. The kids get up and they walk to the front of the bus, and within a few seconds, the bus driver is thrown out the door and he swerves the bus over the edge. That bus begins to hit the barrier and it drives off, with the kid hitting his head on the steering wheel, and then he's thrown out of the bus. Back with the Teen Titans, an alarm goes off at Damien's computer and he tells everyone that they got trouble. They gotta move out. Jackson jumps into the water and he starts to create a hard water construct ramp, giving Wally a straight shot at the bus to help slow it down. Raven teleports inside of the bus, trying to steer it down the ramp that Jackson and Wally are creating. And Wally tells her, don't worry, she's got this. Raven grips the steering wheel, telling him that she's not so sure. She doesn't even have a driver's license yet. And while the bus makes its way down to land, Starfire shoots by grabbing the child that had been thrown out, making sure that he safely lands. But while the Teen Titans save the children, Gar heads over to Hibernaclium Park to throw the first pitch of the Sacramento River Bats game. The coach tells Gar to make sure not to choke out there with all 50 people watching him. Gar tosses him his phone, telling him, just keep the camera steady. Need to make sure all of my fans get a good view of this. He steps out and the game announcer asks everyone to please welcome Yeast Boy! Gar sighs, telling them it's Beast Boy. And the catcher calls to him that no one really cares, loser. Just throw the ball already. Gar changes into a bull, telling him that he was gonna go easy, but he's got a better costume in his trunk. He then changes into an elephant and launches the ball, knocking the catcher into the wall, and then everyone begins to boo him. While the catcher's having his hand looked at, Gar begins to walk back to the locker room, telling him clearly he's not too much of a team player these days. As he sits down and looks at his picture, Gar hears a girl calling out to him when he quickly tells them to just leave him alone. The girl asks if he can't spare a minute for a fan, and Gar turns back telling her, fan? Well, hot diggity dog! As Gar turns into a puppy, he jumps at the green-haired girl and then phases through her. And before he can ask, she tells him that she should explain. First, her name is Jordan. Second, he isn't the only one who likes to play make-believe, so she has a proposal for him, one that she hopes would be mutually beneficial. A short while later, on a pirate ship in the middle of the Moara Woods, outside of San Francisco, Gar looks around asking, what is this place? Joran tells him, welcome to Neverland. Other than living here, she works here with her lost boys. Joran leads Gar down the stairs, and Gar sees a room full of techies. Joran then goes on to explain that Wade here is living on a beach selling motorized surfboards that he designed. Kimmy over there was kicked out of school for developing an anti-bully repellent made out of skunk glands. Gar high-fives everyone, asking, what are you all, like a weirdo version of Silicon Valley? Joran laughs, telling him that they're just square pegs trying to live in a round hole world. They're misfits and outsiders just like him. She herself started out making remote-controlled puppets. Gar looks around and asks, where does he come in? And Joran says, well, she's been working on something special, and she holds out a small tube with an implant floating inside of it. Joran goes on stating that this is a device that she labeled Pixie, named after Tinkerbell's magic dust. It's the next step in BioWare technology. It's a VR implant that allows the user to live in many worlds at once. Joran then reaches out, touching Gar's hand, and as she does, she starts to change form into her original punky blonde self, stating that the Teen Titans don't support or understand him. Like him, her parents died when she was young. So what does he say? Want to be weirdos together? Meanwhile, over at the UCSF Medical Center, the Teen Titans wait in the hospital nearby to hear the results on the kids. When Starfire asks what about him, the doctor says he'll be fine. However, they had to remove a small implant from the boy's dural matter between his frontal lobe and nasal cavity, the same implant that Joran just gave Beast Boy. Damien takes the tube, stating that it appears that he was outfitted with some sort of bleeding-edge brain implant. Starfire says, wouldn't that be cutting edge? Damien tells her no. The difference between cutting edge and bleeding edge is that the bleeding edge will kill you. Back at Neverland, Joran asks, well, she wants them to build something together. Gar looks at the implant thinking, change might be a good thing. His powers are awesome and all, but they can't help what he's struggling with on the inside. He then says, let's do it. Second star to the right and straight on till morning, right? She loads up the injector and hands it to Gar, telling him not to worry, it's perfectly safe. He places the injector over his nose, and then he pulls the trigger. As Gar falls over, Joran asks if he's alright, and he snaps back up with his eyes changing from green to purple, telling her that he feels good. Who needs the Teen Titans when he has her? Soon a world of possibilities begin to flash before Gar's eyes, and Joran begins yelling at Gar to snap out of it. When he blinks, he comes back to reality, and she says that sometimes it's hard to return, isn't it? Gar takes out his phone, telling her that it was incredible. If only there was a way to share that experience with his fans, and Joran says that he can. Soon they'll be releasing Pixie to a limited market, and she wants him to be there at the launch. Invitations will be sent out to a very select few, and with them, they're going to make their dreams come true. Meanwhile, back at Titan's tower, Wally tells Raven to try it now, and activates the controls, and the T-Jet fires up. Raven turns the jet off, stating that if only people could be fixed so easily, maybe things would be different between them. And Wally laughs, telling her, yeah, if only. She holds Wally's hand and a symbol appears, and then Wally asks what was that. And she tells him it's the Azarathian symbol for hope and patience. Be patient with her and maybe. Before the two could go on, Damien walks through, breaking the two up, asking if it's ready yet. And Wally says, other than a car wash, the T-Jet is operational. Damien scoffs, telling him that it's not ideal, but he needs to use the portable lab since the tower's facilities were destroyed. The device that was in the skull of that boy appears to be coming from a startup company called Neverland. The boy was a straight A student with no behavioral problems in the past. One would go as far as to call him a model student. He was bullied terribly, so it's possible that he may have just snapped, and that device was a synaptic connection to his frontal lobe. So it could be possible that he was being puppied. No one has heard much about the company, and the only thing on the web is just rumors. After some digging, he was able to find out about an exclusive invitation from Neverland. It's time for the Teen Titans to go undercover. Later that night at the Neverland launch event, Gar looks out at the theater and says they've really packed this place, huh? Joran tells him it's because those people are sick of feeling alone, but there is something else. She's really hoping that he doesn't get mad that she went through his things. Joran pulls out the photo that Gar kept of his family, but rather than seeing it all burned and destroyed, he sees it fully restored. She says that she could see how much this meant to him, so she restored it using some image processing. Gar takes the photo, telling her, whoa! And Joran leans in, asking, do you miss them? He stares at the photo, stating, honestly, I don't remember them that well. It's more about what they represent, a better life than the one I have now, which is why I'm always changing my teams and appearance. Joran sighs, stating that she can relate to dissatisfaction. But as for her parents, she doesn't miss them at all. When her father was drunk, he would go after her with whatever he could in arm's reach, his fist, belt, lit, cigarette, anything. The only way that she was able to survive was to escape, and her puppets were the way out. She loved them because it made her feel like she was in control. Just then, one of the other boys knocks on the door, stating that everything is ready, and Joran changes back into her green-haired form, telling him all right. Gar tells her to hang on a sec. She can't go out there pretending to be someone that she's not. They need to love her for who she is. Take her from the guy whose DNA is type Zoo. Joran pauses for a moment and then changes back, kissing Gar, telling him, okay then, let's go be weird and vulnerable together. Gar gallops out in the form of a stallion as Joran rides him. The crowd cheers and claps. Joran hops off quietly, stating, see what they do? And then it turns to everyone, telling them thank you for coming and supporting their company. As they know, they are not one of the cool rich kids from Silicon Valley. They are the punky upstart. To demonstrate, she tied Beast Boy's implant into her holographic projector. This way, they'll be able to get a sense of what is possible with Pixie. Gar's eyes begin to light up, and the stage changes to a scene where Gar is fighting a fire-breathing dragon. Seconds later, it changes to Gar having a shootout with a bad guy, and then him battling aliens as a Green Lantern. Joran tells everyone whether they want to raid a dragon's horde, bring justice to the frontier, or know what it's like to be a hero, they can do so with Pixie. Everyone here tonight will receive a free Pixie, and with it a syringe gun that will allow them to safely put the implant into themselves. All they have to do is put the nozzle into their nostril and pull the trigger. When Joran continues her speech though, a batarang then shoots out from the back, grabbing Gar by the leg and pulling him back off stage. Damien says first he ditches the team, and now the next day you hook up with the enemy? Explain yourself! Gar changes into a crab, cutting the wires, asking, "What are you talking about? Joran's my friend, and unlike you, she understands and respects me instead of treating me like a joke." Damien asks, "Would you rather be a joke or a pawn?" That implant is a backdoor to mind control. Even if this company has good intentions, which I'm guessing they don't, they are still biohacking their users. Joran pulls back the curtain, asking if everything's okay back there, and both Damien and Gar shout, "No!" Gar begins to walk away, telling Damien that he's just jealous if people like him. He has to bully people because he has no friends. Starfire flies in, stating that that is not true. They are Damien's friends. And Jackson also says that they are Beast Boy's friends too. Joran pulls Gar away, stating that it's time for them all to leave. And Damien asks, "Where do you think you're going, freak?" Just then, Gar's body begins to grow, and he changes into a giant gargoyle, letting out a bellowing growl. Gar starts wildly swinging at everyone, and Wally tells him not to do it, but Damien says it's no use. He's under her spell. Joran tells Damien, "He's not alone. Everyone here is now my puppets." Seconds later, Gar bursts out of the theater with Joran on his back, but before he can get too far, Damien throws another batarang, grabbing his leg. He's then pulled out of the theater as he shouts, "Give him back, Joran!" Gar swipes at his leg, cutting the wire, but before anyone can come to save him, the other Teen Titans have to deal with Joran's mind-controlled mob. As Damien falls, he lets out a loud whistle, and a moment later, Goliath swoops in, biting down and grabbing Damien by his cape. Damien asks, "What took you so long?" And Goliath grunts. And Damien says, "Stupid bat." Goliath grunts again, and Damien says, "Yes, let's go kick some ass." As Goliath flies over towards Gar, Damien shouts, asking Joran, "What are you doing?" And Joran yells back, "Because of people like you. I've seen Gar's vlogs. You're nothing but a bully. Gar's a victim, just like Kid Flash, Raven, and Starfire." Damien tells her, "I don't need your judgment. I've made mistakes, but we've moved past them." Joran shouts, "The very existence of the Teen Titans is an ongoing hostage scenario. Gar's only stuck with you because he has Stockholm Syndrome. But that doesn't matter. Gar's done with the Teen Titans. He's now one of the Lost Boys." Gar swings his claws, tearing through a part of Goliath's wing. And just as Goliath starts to fly down, Damien throws a fistful of powder into Gar's face. Damien then calls out that he doesn't need to listen to her. He is still one of them whether he likes it or not. Back down on the street, the mob starts to surround everyone, and Starfire asks Wally, can't he jiggle those devices out of their heads like he jiggles through walls? Wally says, what? Are you talking about vibrating? Walls is one thing, a brain's another. I'm still kind of a junior varsity when it comes to the Speed Force thing. Raven asks, what happens if we leave them like this? The last few months, they talked a lot about fear and doubt. Remember that Azarethian symbol? Wally asks, the one for hope and patience? And Raven tells him that he needs to keep it in his heart, just as she will keep it in hers. Raven then kisses Wally and says that he keeps telling her that she should take risks, so there, she took a risk, now it's his turn. In a flash, Wally runs back, dropping all the implants on the ground, and he asks, like that? And Raven laughs, telling him, like that. Starfire then says that they help each other, and then they can accomplish anything. And Jackson yells, I will never get tired of Space Mom's inspirational sayings. Just then, Goliath comes crashing down as Damien calls out to him, and Raven grabs him out of the air, slowly setting him down. Damien then runs over to Goliath, telling him, you stupid bat! You better be okay! And Starfire asks what happened. Damien tells her that Joran gave Gar something that he couldn't. And when Starfire asks what, Raven tells him, love. Back up at the sky, Damien's powder begins to short out Joran's implant, and as he sneezes, Gar rapidly begins to change forms. Soon him and Joran begin to fall to the river below, and as Gar coughs, he asks what happened. Gar then starts to rub his head, stating that he was in some sort of World War II flight simulation, and now his head's all messed up. Joran tells him it's because Robin tried to kill him, and then Gar asks why would he do that? And Joran says that there are two kinds of people in this world, Captain Hooks and Peter Pan's. Is there any doubt which one Robin is? Gar then says, why is she so angry? And Joran tells him that she'll show him. She hits a button on the projector, and then a younger version of Joran appears in a barn. She tells him that when she started building her puppets, it was at first a way for her to escape, and then she realized with puppets she could permanently escape. As the image fades, Gar says, look, he likes her a lot, but she's hurting other people. She has become like Captain Hook of her own story. Joran looks up and the pirate ship base flies down, and she says that that's their ride. Time to sail to Neverland. The ship lands and she takes Gar's hand, and Gar can hear Damien scoff. He looks over and says that he hacked her VR program, didn't he? And Damien tells him her firewall was easily defeated. Just then, a projection of the pirate ship fades, and in its place is the T-Jet. Joran looks out the window and says, second star to the right and straight till morning. The next day, Gar visits Joran in the Fresh Start Juvenile Detention Center, but Joran's reaction to his visit is less than desired. She was tricked. She was forced to see an image that didn't exist to get picked up. She stares for a moment and then smiles, reaching back and touching the window. As the day goes on, The Teen Titans have a picnic down at the beach, and Garth thinks to himself that even though they may have their differences, these are his friends. And with these friends, they're in it together, no matter what comes their way, including Brainiac. And there you have it! The Teen Titans are together again, only to be disbanded! So make sure you subscribe to find out how that's going to happen, because that is the next video for the Teen Titans that we'll be putting out very soon. Subscribe right here to Comic Storian. Don't forget to smash that like button! Smash it! Why do people say that on YouTube? Why do we say, like, smash the like button? I just picture somebody, like, punching their computer screen, and that's not good. That's not good for anybody. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you next time.
That's right, guys. Break your TV screens and like this channel. If you do like what I'm doing, guys, don't forget to hit subscribe and follow me over on Instagram. Check out Comic Storian, and if you guys do want a link to their channel because you can't find them, then all you can do is ask for me down in the comment section down below to post a link, because I've got no problems with sharing the knowledge.
We need a new Teen Titans. Let's have...
So we'll have a bit more Teen Titans, I think, guys, because it's got a bit of Beast Boy in there. But yeah, let's have a look what I've done so far. As you know, it does take me a while to get a lot of colours down. What I'm aiming to do on this video today is just do some, or do the colouring, and then in the next video I will do some shading, texturing, and loads of other good stuff. But first I've got to finish off the lion's tail here. Well, as you can see, we've got a lion, a penguin, and that's it. Whoa, where's my cursor gone? We've got a lion. Where's my cursor gone? What's going on here? That's better. We've got a lion, a penguin, and a crocodile with a lion's tail. We're going to be putting in the background as well in a moment, putting on the rock colour. We're just literally putting the colouring today. The base colours, because you've always got to start with a base colour, and then you go into the shading, and then you can sort of really put some texturing and make things look a lot better than they are. I'll put a lot of shading in there as well, and I'll put sort of the background scene. I'll try and sort of make it look a lot more floral than it does on the paper, because obviously on paper and pen it's just a little bit more. You just don't have the tools that you do in digital. This is why I always digitize my artwork, as I do think that the pictures themselves are better in digital, just because you can just add those textures and add those details that you just can't do on paper, or I can't anyway. I've tried painting, I've tried texturizing, things like that. It's just, I just don't seem to get the knack of it. I can draw, no problem. I like to draw. I can draw a figure, I can draw most things that I can think of if I sketch it out first, and then I'll always ink it. But yeah, I have trouble with textures on paper, but in the digital form, which is why I was so happy to be able to get a free digital app, which is what I'm using here. Again, it's called Critter, guys. It's completely free, and if you want a link to try the stuff like this yourself, you can ask for a link down below, because I've got no problems with sharing what I use. But if I haven't put a link there already, guys, do not forget to ask for a link down below. It is completely free. It's one of those free things that people have put out for people like us to learn, really. You can learn a lot from just messing around, making silly little things. I mean, a lot of pictures are here. I'll start with a blank page and sort of see what the textures do, and then eventually I'll come up with a picture. It all really depends on how I feel, really, and it's the same with working on paper. And as digital's coming into more fashion, the more I've got to sort of pick up my game and get myself sort of there. But yeah, let's carry on listening to them so I can get some more colour on here, and we'll keep going.
Damian Wayne lead. This is the Comic Story and Complete Story series. We take your favorite comic books and break them down into digestible bites, allowing for a quick and speedy recap. But if we just did that, it would be boring. So we bring it back to you read dramatically with funny voices and epic music. All alterations to the panels, text, and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies. Our story begins on Damian Wayne's 13th birthday, as he sits at Wayne Manor blowing out his candles. As Alfred cuts him a slice of cake, Damian says that it's like all of his other birthdays. His father isn't even around to enjoy it. Alfred tells him that he's afraid the Justice League calls, but why doesn't he care for the company of others his own age? Master Richard and Master Tim have the Teen Titans. Damian just sits there and Alfred asks, "What did you wish for?" Damian smiles, telling him that even if he told him, it wouldn't come true. As time passed, Damian now finds himself standing in the Batcave with Goliath, telling everyone that they have just proven themselves inferior to a 13-year-old boy. He'd expected better, because you see in the original Rebirth issue, which I will link down below, Damian captured Raven, Beast Boy, Starfire, and Kid Flash, and they're all hanging in restraints in front of Damian. Beast Boy then says that they were kind of expecting someone taller. Damian smiles. "It must hurt to know that I studied you, found your weaknesses, and exploited them so easily." Wally shouts that he's grateful for the rant, which is both annoying and insightful, but he really doesn't know him or anyone else here for that matter. But before he can go any further, what the hell is that thing? Goliath, the giant man-bat creature hanging out with Damian that he uses as a pet kind of teammate kind of situation, snorts back at Wally, and Damian says that this is his associate, Goliath. He's rather friendly unless he's told to bite the head off of someone. After that, Goliath licks Wally's face, and Beast Boy shouts that he's partners with a giant Wookiee bat thing! And here he thought that he worked his way through the animal kingdom only to find out that there was a cellar beneath the zoo that he didn't know about. Raven looks over at Starfire and says that she can't teleport them right now, but she can sense the anger pouring off of Starfire. And Starfire shouts that he may have their powers, but they still have their strength. She rips the restraints down, shouting that he should know that they are no one's prisoner. And as everyone gets free, they all charge at Damian while Beast Boy handles Goliath, who just punched Beast Boy so hard that he turned into an octopus so that he doesn't destroy whatever he's being thrown into, which happens to be Wally. Raven then tells everyone to just leave the pet to her. Clearly, he's too tired to fight them. And then she waves her arms and Goliath slowly begins to stop and fall asleep. Wally then tells Damian that this is probably going to be a good time to explain himself, and Starfire adds, "and apologize." Damian just smiles, stating, "See, individually you're all weak, but together we could be strong. So unless I'm wrong, which I never am, this is the making of a superhero team." Wally then asks, "Who does this kid think he is?" And Damian tells him, "I'm Robin, son of Batman, and this is the new Teen Titans." Beast Boy begins to shout, "Oh no, 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 you may dress like Robin, but you are no Tim Drake." Damian goes on asking Beast Boy if he'd like to be an actual hero, instead of just playing one in front of a camera, because there is a reason that he took him. Seriously, all of them in fact. Beast Boy then says that if he's looking for a team-up, he should actually go ask his actual friends. Damian turns away stating, "Actually, I don't have any friends. Not with the kind of life that I've lived. Recently, I've turned 13, which is supposed to be the worst year of my life, but instead I wanted to make it the best. No matter what you have or haven't done, who your family is or not, none of that matters. What matters is that you are assigned your history, and you decide your future." Damian continues stating that him and Tim Drake had their differences, but he will be the first to admit that Tim Drake was amazing. But they could be better, so join him. In fact, he dares them to join him. Everyone turns around and smiles, and Beast Boy says, "Pro tip, when trying to make friends, go less kidnapping and more with the foot rubs." Starfire then tells them that there's one problem. Why would they even follow someone like him? And Damian holds up an image of all of them, stating that if they don't, they're gonna be dead. Back on his birthday, he got many gifts, but there was one in particular that stood out. It was a dead Robin and a letter from his grandfather, Ra's al Ghul, the leader of the League of Assassins, telling him that it was time to come back to Infinity Island. The last step of his Demon's Fist graduation is to kill them all. You see, after he received his grandfather's present, his mother came to tell him that he has been marked. She wanted him to return to the island to lead, but if he doesn't, there are 5 assassins who have just all received their targets. A short while later, over in San Francisco, everyone begins to ask where they are, and Damian tells them that they are somewhere safe and far away from their home cities, where they would otherwise be hunted. They are currently being pursued by a group known as the Demon's Fist. The Demon's Fist is a group of assassins presided over by Ra's al Ghul himself, and they've been brainwashed to kill everyone here. Before their final graduation on becoming a full member, they must kill a target of their choice, and everyone here has been chosen. These people see them as rivals, though they will not admit it. Their targets represent everything good and hopeful that is missing from their lives. Each member of Demon's Fist all have powers that in a way are similar to each of these members of the new Teen Titans. Raven then says that there's something else he's hiding, some kind of a conflict inside of him, one where he would have a choice to walk 2 very different paths. Damian shouts for her to get out of his head. She doesn't doesn't know a thing about him. And Starfire tries to calm Damien down, saying how someone who is destined for great things deserves to believe in himself, though they are not there, so maybe he can help convince them. Damien wonders if they are even trying to convince themselves if he's even worth listening to, but the choice is simple. They either fight together as a team or they each die alone. And a voice then comes up. There's a third option. And Mara and the rest of the Demon's Fist assassins jump in, stating, "You can die together." Beast Boy laughs, saying it looked like the little tyrant was telling the truth. Actually, I'm a bit flattered that someone would think that I'm important enough to kill. He then jumps towards the shapeshifter Blank, asking who is he. Beast Boy pins him down and Blank says that he really hates the sight of himself, right? How about he changed into that? Or better yet, how about they play fallen heroes? While Starfire then fights off with Stone and his super strength, Plague reaches out for Raven, telling her that she just wants to shake her hand. Plague's power is that whatever she touches will become diseased and rot away, no matter the surface. Meanwhile, Nightstorm chases after Wally, using his abilities to manipulate the weather to throw Wally off his balance. As everyone is slowly being backed into a corner, Damien shouts to Mara, "How did you find us?" And she tells him that she happened to place a tracking device on Kid Flash over there. So by bringing everyone together, he created their own death trap. Damien tells her, "You're wrong. I created a team." And Mara says, "You had a team, but you just thought you were too good for them, right?" Starfire asks what she's talking about. So Mara takes off her mask, shouting that their Robin is one of us. He was supposed to lead the Demon's Fist, appointed by his own grandfather, Ra's al Ghul. As everyone tries to escape, Starfire says that she thought he was supposed to be the son of Batman. And Damien tells her, "That's a little complicated." Mara shouts that they're not getting away and presses a button, and suddenly the cave around them begins to explode, and Goliath grabs a hold of Damien and flies him away. As everyone watches, Raven creates a barrier to stop the falling rocks, and Beast Boy says, "So much for the new Teen Titans." But before the barrier can give away, Damien flies in a jet, telling everyone to get on. They all pause for a moment, and Damien asks, "What are you waiting for?" So Starfire tells him he's a difficult person to trust. So Damien shouts, "Fine, no more secrets. I had a choice, either follow in the footsteps of the world's greatest crime lord or the world's greatest detective, and I chose Batman." What Damien doesn't tell them, though, is that long ago he trained as an assassin to lead Demon's Fist. However, one day he was challenged by his cousin Mara to take over. The two fought, but Damien easily overpowered her, telling her that she's just destined to have a history of failure. After that, though, Ra's came to praise Damien for his victory, and Mara was bitter with defeat, and she threw a knife at him and Ra's. Damien caught the blade and threw it back, scarring her face, telling her that now, every time she looks in the mirror, she will be reminded that he will always be better than her. Back in the current time, putting the plane on autopilot, Damien tells everyone to move. He's gotta talk to Kid Flash for a moment. Wally tries to explain that he's kinda new to this whole superhero thing, but his aunt is going to get worried and he has a chem test on Friday. So Damien tells everyone that the Demon's Fist will keep coming back until they're all dead. And they were found because of a tracker that Mara placed on Kid Flash. Wally tries to fight against it, telling him it is a load of bull. He would have known if, but Damien stops him, stating, "Found it." Wally tries to ask where it was, but as Damien pulls out a small claw, he tells him, "You don't want to know." And after removing the tracker, Wally says that if he ever runs fast enough to change history, that part is totally being erased. Starfire takes the tracker and crushes it, stating that they think of them as though they are property to be slaughtered. She'll be looking forward to correcting that mistake. As the aircraft lands, Damien tells everyone that they need to regroup and go from defense to offense. But Starfire corrects them. Regrouping would require them to be a group. They have not and will not be a group, so long as he keeps them in the Earth phrase, in the dark. Raven says that they are in the dark more ways than one, and then creates a bonfire for everyone to sit by. She then tells Robin that she did her part. Now it's time for him to do his. There is something that he wants to say, even though it isn't in his nature to reveal things. Damien pauses for a moment, and then says that Mara is his cousin, and what she said is true. He was supposed to lead the Demon's Fist, but no more. No matter how far he runs, the good that he does, it won't change the fact that he's just got some bad blood in him. Starfire tells him that he simply could have asked them for help, and Damien says it's easier to beg for forgiveness than ask for permission. That, and he's still trying to figure out this whole how to be good thing. Starfire corrects him and telling him that he's the one that says their history is assigned to them, but they are the ones that decide their future. He is not his family, just as she is not her sister, Blackfire. Raven says the Demon's Fist chose them because of what they represent. Starfire represents light, Wally represents hope, and Beast Boy interrupts, stating that he represents super sexiness. Wally goes on. What they're all trying to state is that they all have baggage in one shape or another, but really, he couldn't think of anyone better to have in their corner than him. That, and he knows their enemy, which means he knows how to end this hunt and save their lives. Damien tells him that he's right, and he does. Everyone sits back around the campfire, and Damien heads off into the woods to tell Goliath that they are leaving. But as Damien rides on Goliath, Beast Boy watches and asks, where is he going? After a short flight, Damien lands on Infinity Island and tells Goliath to go on and leave. He's got to do this to protect the others. Damien walks over to Ra's and tells him he wanted him back, so call off the hunt and he will be his forever. Roz looks down at Damien and tells him, I once had pinned my hopes for a future on you, but you betrayed me. He then grabs Damien by the neck and pulls him inside, stating, there is much you must prove. Pain is to be earned. As the doors to the Citadel shut, Beast Boy says that of all the thousands of lenses on his eyes, he still can't believe what he just saw. As Roz drags Damien into the inner chambers, he puts him in front of the Mirror of Truth, asking if he is truly here to lead or bring Roz down. Damien looks at the mirror, and Roz asks, what do you see? Without saying a word, Damien says that he wants to be Batman. Damien looks back, stating he's here to serve so that he can spare the lives of the Teen Titans. So tell Mara to call off the hunt. And Roz asks, why would I do that when Mara is right here? Mara and the rest of the Demon's Fist walk in, and Mara asks Damien if he remembers the cut that he gave her. The scar would serve as a reminder of her humiliation. Rather than bring her down, it made her push harder and train for this very moment. The moment where she cuts him. She swings her sword, but stops when Damien tells her, wrong. You won't be happy just killing me like this. So we have to have a trial by combat, and if I win, the hunt for the Teen Titans is off, and if I lose, well, I'll just die, and you'll know that you are meant to lead the league. Blake shouts, what about them? This is supposed to be their hunt too, but Mara tells him to shut up. She's the leader, and they will do as she commands. Roz shouts, this is wonderful. I, for one, would very much like to witness a trial by combat. So, you must prepare for your battle. Not long after, in the deeper parts of the island, Damien and Mara stand along a narrow path over a pit of lava. Mara tells him that he looks so alone over there. No mommy to protect him. No Batman to babysit him. No team of losers to back him up. That's why he came back, isn't it? Because he couldn't hack it on his own. As the two of them run at each other, Damien tells her that it would be a lot harder to insult him with a sword shoved down her throat. She begins to swing down towards Damien, forcing him to block. And after a few swings, Damien's sword flies upwards, hitting a stone on the ceiling. The stone breaks off and falls into the lava, sending bits of lava everywhere. Some of it hits Mara's mask, and in that moment of pain, Damien runs in, tackling her to the ground. He holds out his claws to her face, telling her, it's over, I win. But Mara tells him, not unless you kill me. Damien calls out to Roz, asking if he saw that, because he just won. He's the champion and he demands that. But Damien's words are stopped as Mara slams the same dagger that he used to cut her into his shoulder. He falls over and Mara tells him that he's a sidekick at best. Those so-called friends are better off without him. After the battle, the rest of the Demon's Fist take Damien to his new cell. And Stone asks, what are they supposed to do about their targets anyway? Really, they're nothing but tools and servants. Blank begins to shift into Mara, mimicking her, stating, forget everyone else, Roz. Only look at me. Be proud of me, me. Plague grabs a fluttering bat, stating that Damien is not the only one who got stabbed in the back. They are all victims here. Maybe they would have been better off with Damien leading them and not Mara. Stone says, yeah. He was willing to die for his team, and now he's going to. As the door shuts, Damien looks at the diseased bat, stating that they're all pathetic. No one will mourn them when they're gone. And then there's a rattle at the door, and it flies off the hinges. As Damien turns, asking who's there, Beast Boy tells him, your friends! Damien asks, what the hell are you all doing here? And Raven tells him, you're welcome. Starfire leans down, stating that they came to help, and Wally says he's got to admit, I like the way you look in those chains. Starfire then pops the chains off, stating that he should not have run away from them. And Damien tells her it was the only way that he could have saved them. Wrong, she responds. It's the only way that you could have saved them, but we're here to help each other. Damien starts to get up, and he grunts through the pain of the stab wound in his back. So Raven tells him that she'll help. She'll transfer that pain onto herself so that he can heal more quickly. Starfire then tells Damien that she can also help, but he tells her to get away, and then he says that he means he's fine. Wally asks what happened anyway, so Damien tells him that he got stabbed in the back by his cousin, which kind of runs in the family. As everyone leaves the cell, they start to notice the path that they took is now blocked. Damien reaches out to the wall, and then Stone reaches back, grabbing him. As another of the Demon's Fists come out, Damien tries to explain that they don't have to do this. None of them have a future here because Roz stole it from them. He goes on to tell each of them their history and how Roz took it away from them. There's no life to go back to because their parents all think of them as dead now. And a voice calls out that he is wrong. Roz shouts that he rescued them from their insignificance. He then shouts that they are all weak to have their enemy before them, and they sit there gossiping. Mara shouts to kill. Their master commands it. But no one moves, and Plague steps forward asking if it's true. Were her and her brother Blank really given up to serve their cause? Roz says that words are weapons. Sometimes they must faint. Other times they must cut. Wally decides to chime in at this point. You know, I'm pretty new to this whole thing, but it really sounds like regardless of what side the demon's fists are on, it's a losing sign. And Raven says that she can sense that they all mean the world to each other. Together, they can shape their future. So Beast Boy shouts, "That's right! Don't listen to the Creeper Grandpa!" As the other Demon's Fist members decide not to fight, Roz jumps down with his sword, telling them, "If that's the case, I will cut off the Demon's Fist." But just before he can strike down on Plague, Damien runs in, blocking the attack. All of the other League of Assassin members start to surround everyone, and as Beast Boy changes into a bull, he says he's not sure about anyone else, but this kind of made him horny. Blank changes into a bull as well, and he states that he's still tempted to kill Beast Boy just to shut him up. Nightstorm shouts that they will do this together, and he starts to blow everyone away. As everyone fights alongside their targets, all helping each other through the fights, out in front, Roz tells Damien that he's nothing more than genetic waste. "Do you really think you can stop me? You couldn't even beat your own pathetic cousin Mara. You are just a group of worthless pawns in a chess game that we are playing." Damien pushes them back, shouting, "We are not pawns. They are my friends. Titans, go!" As everyone focuses their attention on Roz, Mara asks what should she do, and Roz throws a smoke bomb down on the ground, telling her, "You are weak and needy, just awaiting orders. You are as worthless as your father. Now come." Damien tells her that she doesn't have to go with him. There's still a chance for her to be her own person. Mara looks at him, and Roz grabs her before she can even answer, and the two disappear in the smoke. Once the fight ends, the Titans and the Demon Fist all gather around to say their goodbyes. And as they leave, Beast Boy tells them, "See you later," or not. Not would totally be fine, actually. As they all stand there, Beast Boy then asks, "Now what?" Damien begins to tell them he thinks but then a voice stating, "I think you have some explaining to do." Behind Damien, Batman steps out, and Damien asks, "How did you know where we were?" A second later, Goliath flies down licking Damien, and Batman asks, "Why didn't you call for help?" Damien scoffs, "Clearly, I didn't need it." Batman then looks at the jet that Damien stole, telling him, "I see you made some modifications." And Damien corrects him, "Improvements!" In fact, I've been making a lot of those lately, and not just with the jet. Batman looks over at the Titans and he asks, "Are you planning on calling them the Teen Titans?" Damien tells him, "Yeah, and if you got a problem with that," but Batman stomps him, telling him, "No, actually, but the team will need some supervision and guidance. No, we are serving under our own agenda. This is my life." Batman decides to tell him, "Fine, we can talk about this when we get back to Gotham." And Damien stops him again, stating, "No, I'm not going back. Like how Grayson needed to find a place to call his own, I do too. So, what did you have in mind?" 3 months later, Damien stands atop of a building, the Titan's Tower, and a voice asks, "What are you doing here?" Damien says that he's thinking about the future, their future, and Starfire asks if it's okay if they join. She looks around and says that it's really bright up here, and Raven says that she's normally used to much gloomier places, but this could work. Beast Boy then asks, should they call him Fearless Leader or Ruthless Overlord now? And Damien decides to tell them all to just leave it as a work in progress. There's one thing for certain though, they're in this together. And that concludes the first story arc of the Teen Titans, 1 through 5. I personally actually really like this change out of the main superhero leader guy not being Tim anymore. Tim needs to move on to other things, which includes being dead in Detective Comics. Sorry if I spoiled that for you, it kind of happened a few months ago at this point. But anyway, Tim had to move on to bigger and better things over in Detective Comics, so we needed a place for Damien to call his own and for a group that he can lead. Now, I know this is kind of similar to the cartoon show, but they seemingly have made this group more reflect the movie version. Starfire is kind of not a teen, so it's kind of a weird fit, but hopefully overall, it's all gonna come together in the end, because the Teen Titans are awesome, and we all love the Teen Titans. Anyway, don't forget to subscribe to this channel to keep up to date on the DC Rebirth, whatever is going on with it right now, because it's all weird and wonky, and you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at ComicStorian. I'll see you guys next time right here.
Just putting in a few details, guys, because I forgot to put them there, so I'm just gonna get starfishing.
Our people struggle just to survive. But with the power of the anthem at my fingertips.
Destiny.
Welcome to the Full Story series, where we take a lot of our older videos from over the years that we've been doing Comic Story and we combine them into a giant, large epic that you can basically pop on and then go on a long road trip and watch. Today we're going to be giving you the story of Earth 2, one of my all-time favorite storylines that came out of New 52. And the reason we're doing this is everyone freaking out about Val Zod and Michael B. Jordan being rumored as a new Superman. Either way, this is the actual storyline
okay,
for
we're
Val
not doing
Zod.
Superman today. We are doing Beast Boy and other things. Ooh, what's that? Cheetah, comic book origins. Let's have Cheetah. Oh, wait. That's not what I thought it was. On Comic Storian. Okay, we're just running out of things here now. we'll just go straight to comic historian, guys, I think, then. That's how you spell the name. See if I can find something here. The answer is no. Oh, hang on. What are these? Titans. Yay! Let's have some more Titans.
Back outside, Nightwing runs over to Beast Boy after having his arm cut, asking if he's okay. Beast Boy is huffing, stating that he can't concentrate.
We'll go back to the beginning, I think. I think we've already started watching this one. Must be in another episode, guys. See if you can find it and let me know.
Welcome to the Complete Story series, where we take trade paperbacks and single issues and we break them down into digestible bites. The purpose of this is to allow you to understand what is going on in comic books today, so that you can then potentially go buy the next issue, or at least have a base understanding as to what is happening in current comic books. Now, today we're going to be covering the Titans comic, which I believe off the top of my head is issues 25 and 26. When we last left off with the Titans, they had formed up a new group. Nightwing had decided that he needed to go out there and stop the emergent threats. You see, when the Justice League broke the Source Wall, all kinds of new metahumans were created on the planet Earth, and Nightwing decided that the Titans would be the team to try and stop these. But the Justice League didn't trust him. They gave him Miss Martian as a liaison. On top of all of that, the first big event that this new group of Titans had to fight against, they ended up going into another universe, and it looks like a piece of Raven may have been left behind, as she's not quite herself. It's time to get into the story. Meanwhile, at the Hall of Justice in Washington, D.C., Steele mentions that she might have an idea as to why these last few cases have been getting bigger. It's just a hunch, but based on the data from their first few missions, the cosmic debris hitting their planet is causing all sorts of crazy stuff. In all cases so far, the emotional state of the subject correlates to the intensity of the threat level. The more agitated and scared they are, the more violent and uncontrolled the power outburst. Raven, who is with the group in the Hall of Justice, because there are currently actually two Ravens, one trapped in that world created by the writer and one with the team, asks if the Source Wall energy has had any effect on inanimate objects. And Steele says that research suggests only organic things. Source Wall energy responds to external stimuli. Beast Boy then asks, "So have you shared this with Nightwing and Miss Martian yet?" And Steele tells him that yes, she has. Beast Boy then looks back at the two walking in arguing about something and asks, "Why are they still going at it 5 minutes later?" Nightwing then shouts that they do not need a babysitter, and Miss Martian shouts, "Liaison!" Before the two of them can continue, the alarm goes off, and the computer reports that there is an emergent event being detected. Steele runs over to the computer and says that it looks like they have 3 simultaneous events in progress right now. A Class 6 downtown, a Class 3 in Anacostia, and a Class 1 in Bethesda. Nightwing says, "Alright, we're going to divide up and handle them all at once. Raven, Beast Boy, and Steele, you'll take the downtown Class 6. Donna can handle the Class 1 in Bethesda, while Miss Martian and myself go to Anacostia." As Miss Martian flies over to their location with Nightwing, she tells him, all things considered, he might be right. If he's the representative example, clearly she does not understand humans. Meanwhile, downtown, Raven and the others arrive at the giant robot, and Steele says that she doesn't get it. She mapped the mechanoid and says that this is the source of the energy, but there's no organic part. How is the Source Wall activating this? Raven says, "Don't worry, she's got this," and she begins to focus on trying to locate the organic tether. The robot starts to storm the streets towards them, and Beast Boy then asks if she's got this because she doesn't look like she has this, and if she does, now would be a good time to stop the giant robot. But Raven tells him that nothing is happening. She's got a problem. Beast Boy yells, "We all have a problem if we don't move!" And the robot smashes through where the 3 of them are, with Raven stating she's not sure what's happening, but she can't control her magic. Steele grabs her hammer, shouting, "If she can't do anything, then get clear." Meanwhile, back at Anacostia, Miss Martian leads Nightwing into the apartment building where the source energy is the strongest. And when they open up the door, they find a woman watching TV. The woman doesn't even look back from her recliner, asking if they're here to fix her cable. "About time! My stories are about to come up." Miss Martian asks, "Do we look like we're here to fix your cable?" Nightwing starts to look around, asking, "We should probably move this woman." And the woman begins to flip through the channels as everything begins to melt and change around him. The scene changes to an old Prohibition bar, and Miss Martian pulls Nightwing close, asking, "What's a nice superhero like you doing in a dive like this?" Nightwing asks her, what the? And Miss Martian says, let's go. I mean, I don't know. Something made me say that. Why would I say those words? Nightwing looks around and says, uh-oh. And back in the woman's apartment, she's now watching Nightwing and Miss Martian on the TV. And she clearly says, these aren't my stories. Back over in Bethesda, the mind link and comms start to go down as Miss Martian has now been pulled into the TV, and she's the one that keeps the Titans linked together through a mind link. Donna arrives at her target location stating all right. They probably can't hear her now, but she's going in. She begins to look around the door of an old warehouse. She sees several men in red and gold masks asking them, what is this? One of the men spot her stating that they have visitors, brothers. Bleed her. Back downtown, Steel gets to work breaking down the robot and asks, could I get a little help here? Beast Boy looks at Raven asking her, what do you mean your powers aren't working? She says, it means just that, they're gone and I don't know why. I have some residual magic, basic things, but when I try to draw on my core powers, my soul self, that's it! My soul self is missing! My soul is missing! Steel calls out that she doesn't really know what the hell they're doing here. She's just gonna try and do it herself. And then she smashes through the robot's core, destroying it from the inside. She flies down asking what exactly is the problem here. And Beast Boy says that Raven's soul self is gone. Steel asks her, what? And Raven explains that it is her spirit. The projection of everything that she is, and it's gone. She can't explain it, but she can feel some subtle dark magic at play. Ever since the Golden Gate Park, she's had a feeling of unease, but it's only now, when she tried to use. Beast Boy scratches his head stating he's pretty sure the mind link is dead. And Steel gets ready to scan Raven, and she says, great, because I'm starting to think our original problem isn't. Soon, all of the bits of the robot begin to pile back together in Beast Boy's size, stating, yeah, it's rebuilding itself. Back in the TV world, the bartender asks, what'll it be, Rick? And Nightwing yells, answers! That's what I want, Joe! Out of all the jazz lounges in the world, we wind up in this. And the Nightwing stops himself, shouting, why am I talking like this? It's like I'm being forced to play a role. Miss Martian tells him that they need to calm down. It's looked like they've been transplanted into the televisual quasi-reality. Their identities are being fused with that of the characters that they have intersected with. The longer that they stay here, the more that they will be consumed by the genre. What's more, her mind link is gone. She has no powers here. Which, she's sure, validates his point that she's a worthless addition to the Titans. Just then, the doors are kicked in and the cops run in shouting, this establishment is subject to an official raid. And Miss Martian yells, Rick, cheese it, it's the law. Nightwing grabs his gun, firing at the pursuers, yelling, Tarnation! And Miss Martian tells them that they need to control themselves. None of this is real. The woman sighs, changing the channel, yelling, I just want to watch my stories. Back with Donna, she runs in swinging at the men, and as she knocks one of them down, another says, the brothers of blood will silence the heathen. So Donna cracks the man with her shield, stating, wait, blood? So your brother Blood's crazies? Another shouts that they know that the demon spawn Robin and his Teen Titans will not thwart them again. And Donna asks, you think I'm with the Teen Titans? The man yells, a new age is dawning, an age of change, and then strikes the ground with his sword. Donna begins to feel a rumble and the ground beneath her gives way and she falls into a pit. The man standing on top tells everyone to gather the materials that they came for. They're going to rig the device for overload. The source energy charge makes it too dangerous to remove, but its destruction will wipe out any trace that they were there. Donna begins to pick herself up after the fall, and a young, dark-skinned man asks if she's okay. He thought that she was one of them for a second. She asks who is he, and the man helps her up, stating that he is Ben Rubel, investigative journalist. He sort of lives here now. Look, he's technically squatting, but his power cells are all solar and he has no place to go, so please don't call the cops. Donna tells them to just stop. How about they try this? What did those goons up there think that you were doing? Ben asks, the guy in the masks? I'm not sure. They just came into my lab stating something about blood or whatever, so I hid from them. They may have been after my research, though I kind of found something. I was working on a story when I discovered an atypical energy bombarding... Wait, are you Wonder Woman? And Donna says, yes. Yes, I am. Believe it or not, I actually believe you. So hang on. Donna grabs Ben and jumps out of the hole back to the first floor and says that this machine, what is it? Ben goes on telling her that he rigged a way to collect the atypical energy and store it. It's just thrown together though. He's no quantum engineer. Oh God, what have they done to it? In its current state, it can alter things like time and space. This is not good at all. Donna says, well, the Blood Cult knows about emergent events, and this energy, they call it source energy. The Blood Cult want it for their own purposes, but right now, we need to figure out a way to stop this thing from exploding. Back in TV land, Miss Martian says that she thinks she knows what his problem is, and Nightwing asks, I have a problem? Miss Martian says that he has a trust issue. Batman treated the previous incarnation of Titans with disdain. They all have secrets. But here he is, struggling as a brave, ordinary man in a world full of gods. Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, all incredible things, and then there's him, mortal. He fights just to keep up, or else he would sink. She's also a being unlike him, and she threatens the control that he has over the team that he made. She herself is an alien, and that reminds him too much of his own humanity, his own frailty in this world of superhumans. He asserts control because he feels constantly that he has everything to prove. Also, who's Corey? Nightwing stares, asking, what? And Miss Martian says, she's been on your mind a lot, but never mind that. The point is, I have everything to prove just like you, and I have to prove that I'm worthy of Jean's trust. I have to prove that I'm a valuable ally to the Titans. Nightwing says that it's a full-time job just staying afloat, and he hasn't made it easy for her. Miss Martian smiles, telling him, no, you haven't. But I am also new at this work, and I value your wealth of experience. The two begin to lean in close. They begin to kiss, and Miss Martian says that she can feel her identity slipping away, and Nightwing says, we just need to be here, sweetheart. Our pals are working on a fix. Back over in Bethesda, Donna says that she's not sure if this is going to work. She's going to need to do something drastic, and she reaches in, grabbing the core of the device, and...
Okay, so we've gotten to the same point as we did last time on that thing, but we will be back very, very shortly, guys, to finish off. Like I said, I will be coming back with another video to continue on where we've gotten to on this, but because we've reached about an hour and a half, I'm going to give this a rest and come back another time. I will be doing the shading in the next video, guys, so do not forget to hit subscribe and come on back next time, as this is recorded and not live. So all I'm going to say is thank you very much for watching, guys. My name is Blut084, BLUT084 Art and Games. If you need any links to anything we've been watching today, or if you want to know where I get Critter, just ask me in a comment section down below. Otherwise, guys, thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.